share the load. So
You've kind of seen it with a lot of Clint Eastwood films.
he was the Brad Pitt and I was the DiCaprio.
Harsh convinced Anil sir. Anil sir convinced you.
He didn't have to convince, he just had to call. And he said, Fatty, kar bhai, it's more than what you think it is.
One day he said something like, okay, don't shoot this in 2-3 days. Don't worry. Take your time. And the production guy came, sir, but we don't have location. Flight tickets are booked. So this thing, finish this fast. Finish this fast.
Hello and welcome. Today I'm talking to 4 hot steppers. In fact, 4 literal trailblazers because they're in the scorching new film Thar. I have with me Anil Kapoor, Harshvardhan Kapoor, Satish Kaushik and Fatima SanaShaeikh. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. You've all said it's an educational experience working on this film. Now, Thar is a place that many of us haven't been, though it spans such a large area in so many states. What is it about the desert that you learned? Starting off with Anil, sir.
First of all, we've not shot Thar in the desert. We shot in Rajasthan. And so when you think about Rajasthan, you think about the desert and you think about the palaces. But there is no palace in this film and there's hardly any desert in the film. So we have gone to there are beautiful mountains, the expanse and, there are certain places which even I, living and shot so many films in Rajasthan, I had not seen these beautiful scenic locations and certain small little towns and villages, and especially the towns and the structures in that town. A few of them are, like for example, where we stayed and of course where we shot. And there was no location which was close to the place we shot, because there were certain areas where we used to travel for almost an hour and a half and then reach that location and then take another car and then from there walk to these kind of locations. So when you see the film, you'll understand that it's not the desert or it's not the palace. It is Rajasthan, which you have never seen.
I felt that for sure as well. It didn't have those stereotypical trappings of Rajasthan that you associate with it, that opulence, the palaces, or even when it comes to the accents, whenever it's set somewhere, the characters always have that accent. But Harsh, you don't have that typical accent. Are you an outsider in this film?
Yeah, so, it's kind of like one of the key elements of this sort of genre of film where you have this town and you have these locals that inhabit this town, which is Dad's character, Fatima's character, Satish's character. And you have this urban kind of mysterious man that almost from nowhere comes into their lives and into this place. And you don't normally see a person that looks like that or dresses like that in those parts. So he's somebody from the city that kind of almost comes in. He's the outsider coming in. You've kind of seen it with a lot of Clint Eastwood films and, Harrison Ford in some films. And you have that kind of, that mysterious kind of outsider with sort of a little bit of an unnerving quality. You don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. And I think that's another cool thing about the narrative of this film is like, none of the characters, it's not underlined or spoon-fed to the audience who to root for, who the protagonist is, who the antagonist is. There are just people, there are characters. They say one thing, but they behave in surprising ways. And eventually, it's the actions that define them and not the words, which is, an element of film noir, So that's why it's a Western noir. And yeah, so I think it's really cool to be able to give the audience the opportunity to decide for themselves, as opposed to be told. And so you can like these people, you can hate these people, you can feel indifferent towards any of these people. And it depends on your perspective and how you view life and people, which will eventually, it's your perception of those things which will kind of ultimately decide how you feel about these characters. And I expect everybody to feel differently about these people, which is great, because that's what the viewing experience should be about, so.
I especially like the trailer because even on multiple viewings, I couldn't figure out what was going on, which is great because nowadays you just know the entire film from the trailer.
Absolutely.
So I really like that for sure. Fatima, coming on board this film, a gritty, Western thriller.
Ji.
What was the attraction for you? Was it the script? Was it these two Kapoor men? Was it a fantastic performer like Satish sir?
So the film had come to me a long time ago, and I wasn't sure. I loved the script. I have always loved the script. First draft, ये तो बहुत अभी अलग है, and it's become even more layered and even more beautiful. When they had approached me back then, I wasn't sure only because of one reason, because sometimes आपको लगता है पेपर में अगर आपका कैरेक्टर कम है तो आपको लगता है it's not enough. तो वो मेरा hesitance था थोड़ा. And when again it was offered to me, sir had called me and he said, Fatty, kar bhai, it's more than what you think it is. And it is actually, because it's not what you say, it's not the amount of dialogues you have, it's the moment. And there are so many such moments where there are no dialogues, and ये सारे characters के साथ है. ये ज़्यादा verbose film नहीं है. यहाँ पे moments है, यहाँ पे people are looking into each other's eyes, and that's the gaze. And I'm so glad that it happened, and I'm so glad that sir made that call, because sometimes you need a whack कि भाई come back to reality, or that you're making a wrong mistake. So I'm glad that he did that.
He's really cool, and everything I hear about him, we just find out how much cooler he is.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. Harsh convinced Anil sir. Anil sir convinced you.
He didn't have to convince, he just had to call.
He just had to call.
Number देखा है, मतलब okay, I'm doing it. Hello. Yeah.
So Satish sir, who convinced you?
Of course, the script, First of all, what my relationship with Anil is, actually it is something like that, It is something that we trust each other, we love each other, we kind of, we have worked together so much. So we understand each other's, little steps, you understand. And when I reached on the set, seeing Harsh, his personality, his persona, his belief in what he wants to do, it is magnetic, It's magnetic because a guy who believes in doing something out of the box and yet very powerful and very, with great connectivity. And then we had a great fun shooting. It was very well planned shoot. The whole atmosphere was fantastic,
So you have worked with Anil sir before, but Anil sir, you and Harsh haven't produced a film together yet. Of course, you start together in AK versus AK, but this is a full-fledged role, and you've produced it together. What was that like?
I was much more relaxed and more relieved. Obviously, we have agreements, disagreements. We criticize कि ये अच्छा नहीं है, वो अच्छा नहीं है, इसको better कर सकते हैं. And then ultimately, then the marketing and the post starts, and then how we what the trailer should be and what should be the visuals which should come out. So at least I was relieved that otherwise what happens in certain times you have to do everything. But here the entire मैंने भी पीछा छुड़ाया. मैंने बोला जान छूटी यार तेरे को जो कर you understand, because I am working outside. I'm doing I was busy with Juk Juk Jio. I was busy doing other films, and there are other productions which are happening, other scripts which are being developed in the company. So I had the time to really focus on all the other priorities: family, wife, children. Now I want to go become a grandfather also, So all these things are happening in my life. So I was happy and to give the responsibility to Harsh to share the load, as the dialogue in which is that Tarantino film?
Pulp Fiction?
No, the new one.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Share the load. So he was the Brad Pitt and I was the DiCaprio. The aging hero and the new Brad Pitt.
I would love to see Once Upon a Time in Bollywood being made with the two of you for sure. So Harsh, working with your dad, he said there were some disagreements as well. What was it? The clash of the young and the old? Young, of course, being Anil sir.
No, I mean, I don't really think that there was any sort of kind of clash. I think, the thing is, I have very little to do with it. I think it's very important to realize that it's a director's medium, and I think in a country where we live in India and we're very a star-driven kind of business, but it's actually a director's medium. So it's very important to remember that, because we're all here because of Raj, really, and he's the one that's brought us together. So I had quite a simple job of really just taking his vision and making sure that it's not changed or watered down. So it's his vision. So I just thought, because I'm kind of I have the time on my hands, and if I had kind of a lot of belief in the material, so I just wanted to attach myself to it. So because he's a new director, right? So when a director doesn't have a huge body of work, you go around to studios, you go asking for money, and they kind of sometimes maybe want you to kind of change things a little bit, maybe kind of make a couple of changes here and there to kind of make it more appealing to a larger audience and stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that what Raj wanted, we kind of got, and whatever I could kind of do in my, it's not like I have a lot of power, but in whatever capacity that I could, where I could just make sure that because we aligned on what was on the page, and we wanted that to kind of come alive. It kind of became like a joint dream almost. And so then we fought for it, still persevering until the film is out, or every stage with every kind of creative that kind of comes out. And yeah, I hope people like it, but we've definitely done something new, so.
I'm very intrigued by the belief that you have in the film, for sure, and the belief that Sir has in this debut director. This is not the first debut director you worked with. You have an eye for them. You worked in Mani Ratnam's first film as well, Pallavi Anupallavi.
Yeah, it's not exactly. Of course, there is Satish also. I've done his first film also, and and we've done, after that, we've done quite a few remarkable, extremely successful films after that. So I've been very fortunate that new directors have wanting to make me part of it, part of the films, and that's what I feel has been one of the reasons. When people ask me what is the reason of your longevity, or how do you reinvent yourself, actually, they help me reinvent myself. They because I also, as Harsh rightly said, it is a director's medium, and I always not only I'm keen to work with very successful and very renowned directors. I'm equally keen to work with not necessarily debut directors, but if they've done one film, and even if their films have not done well, but I feel, or they've not done that kind of business, but if I see their work and I feel, yaar, kuch baat hai isme. So there are a lot of these kind of directors who it is not their first film, but it is their second film. I'm, matter of fact, slightly more comfortable with their second film rather than their first film. First films is very jittery, like I was with Satish also, and with even quite a few of the, and I hoping that I go on the set, and and I was very thrilled when I was on the set, and with Satish, and even with all the other directors I worked with in their first films. So yeah, I've been lucky that it's nothing, no I think I just been fortunate and blessed that I happened to be at the right time at the right place, that the new director or their second films wanted me, and I convinced them, or they convinced me to be part of it.
I think you are the lucky charm, for sure, I have to say. I won't ask you much about the plot because it's a suspense film. The secret that I want to know is your on-set secrets. What did you discover about each other? Harsh, what did you discover about Anil sir's style of working?
There weren't really any surprises. I think it was quite a smooth shoot, I would say, right? Yeah.
What about for you, Fatima?
Yeah, same. It was quite smooth. In fact, like whenever, of course, AK comes on set, I was nervous when he came on the first day. Then he was like, "Hey, fatty, bus tension mat le, just do what you do, just chill. Don't worry about anything." I was like, okay. After 3 takes, I was calm. But the first 3 takes, I was like, AK is here. But yeah, otherwise, it was a lot of fun. I think once the ice was broken, it was fun. And it was very easy. Shoot was comfortable. तो कोई ऐसे stress ही नहीं था. अभी क्या दूँ मैं drama? कुछ है ही नहीं.
No drama, but any other surprises that we don't know because you're not revealing anything about the plot?
Well, I was obviously taken aback by Fatima's, the way she had picked up the dialect, because I find it very difficult to really, there are certain things which I pick up very fast, but there are certain things I really have to work very hard. So I had to work very, very hard not that I've completely spoken complete Rajasthani because I'm a cop. So there are times when I speak normally also, but when I'm with my family or with my wife or with Bhure, then I speak, but when I'm like speaking to Harsh or, doing my job, so I switch into, normal Hindi. So I was very taken aback the way she really picked up the small nuances of the the Rajasthani dialect, and but she has such beautiful eyes and she expresses herself so beautifully that लफ्ज़ों पे ज़्यादा ध्यान नहीं गया मेरा, मगर उनकी आँखों पर, कि I could see that her eyes speak, and I was obviously I was surprised कि अभी तो ये बड़ा स्किनी था यार, हर्ष जब शूट कर रहा था अपना वासन की फिल्म के लिए, इतना पतला सा और काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन, एंड द अदर फिल्म्स लाइक AK वर्सेस, ये सडनली इतना बल्क कहाँ से ले आया यार, एंड देन आई सेड यार तू थोड़ा सा बड़ा सा लग रहा है, तो बोले डैड आई पुट ऑन 8 kilos फॉर दिस फिल्म. So I was taken aback because you see today youngsters have this science. How they do it, I don't know. That they bulk up and they become so skinny. ये तुम लोग करते कैसे हो यार? What I've tried to do in my life is to maintain myself.
Remain the same,
No, same.
through the years.
So कभी-कभी बोलते हैं यार थोड़ा आपको ये bulk करना है. I don't know how to do it. और आपको एकदम skinny होना है. So it becomes very difficult. So ऐसे में I can, I have this thing of maintaining myself. And of course about Satish, you see कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि कभी-कभी लोगों को गलत फहमी है कि हमने अपना करियर 80s में शुरू किया या लेट 70s में शुरू किया, तो हम लोग जो हैं कहीं ना कहीं ये जब जो यंग डायरेक्टर्स हैं और यंग फिल्म मेकर्स हैं, उनको लगता है कि हमारी थोड़ी एक्टिंग स्टाइल थोड़ी पुरानी हो गई है, मगर इनको पता नहीं है कि वी आर स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ सिनेमा, एंड हम लोग को भी जैसे यंगस्टर्स को प्रूव करना पड़ता है, कभी कभी हम दोनों को भी लोगों को सामने प्रूव करना पड़ता है, नहीं यार हम सब काम जानते हैं, तो हमको काम दीजिए. यंग डायरेक्टर्स शुड कम एंड एंड व्हेन आई सॉ हिज वर्क इन स्कैम, and I just called him up and I loved his work. And then when you see him in this film also, in Thar, you will see a performance which is so nuanced and so understated, but still you can feel his presence in the film. Yeah.
And what I felt, for me, what was the discovery, to see Anil in a different garb. Normally, Anil is very agitated when he's acting. He's always on the toe. Exciting everyone, screaming, shouting, "Come on!" This thing. Apart from that, he was, he was as a producer, as a production person, he was very calm also, and he could take decisions very instinctively right there. I remember, when I went for the first schedule. I was there on 7th or 10th of January, because I immediately left after my release of my film Kagaz. And 10th January, I reached there. I had developed a acid reflex. Luckily I finished some part which was a tough location we had to go. But after that I came back and I was feeling unwell, And he packed me. He said, you go to Bombay, do your this, and told them, sir, wo kaise hoga, schedule kaise nahi hoga, you have to do it, just do it, and it will happen. Don't worry, let him go, let him get well, let him come back then, So he was under control or having, taking care of. Though I'm like a friend, a family member, this thing, but taking care of you like an elder, a person who is actually in command of that place. So he was totally in control. Sometimes he will go overboard, and production guy will say, sir. So one day he said something. Okay, don't shoot this in 2-3 days. Don't worry. Take your time. And the production guy came, sir, but we don't have location. Flight tickets are booked. So they say, finish this fast. Finish this fast. Do it now.
all of us imitate Anil sir. Fatima's done it. You have done it, sir. Harsh, I've never seen you imitate
I'm
your
not
dad.
so good with imitations, to be honest.
None of us are. I mean, I'm not. But we can't resist imitating your dad, of course. I could listen to stories about Anil sir's style all day, but unfortunately my time's up. Thank you so much. What a fun chat. And I can't wait for the film. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you like
so
the
much.
film.
Thank you.